Alright, this is my video of me explaining Aquarius ascendant. So, as y'all know the deal, look at my phone as I go through these notes so I make sure I do not miss anything. One thing that I've seen to notice with Aquarius ascendant is that you see a theme of them being competitive when you look at all the nakshatras that are in Aquarius. The yoni animal for the Nista is a female lion, and female lions, they hunt and work together and all that good shit. In Shittabashesh, the yoni animal is a horse. Horses are bred for racing, and I'm focusing on the racing aspect that's associated with horses. So with racing and competitiveness, there's also gambling. And then in Purva Bhadrapada, you have a male lion, and the male lion hunts by himself. So I would say in the Purva Bhadrapada side, there's more of like a lonely aspect to Aquarius, because with the female lion and the Nista, female lions, they work together, hunt together. The horse, yoni animal, and Shittabashesh, they race. There's social interaction. But the male lion, he hunts primarily by himself, and he just guards the pride land, the territory, and all that good shit. At 2 to 3 years old, supposedly the male lions leave their tribe, their pride, and they go and try to conquer another territory or land. So there's a bit of a more of a lonesome aspect to the Purva Bhadrapada side of Aquarius. And what else could you say about Aquarius? You could say that they could be gamblers. Specifically more so degenerative gamblers, and the Shittabashesh side due to the association with the horse. And there could be a theme of Aquarius people being deprived of pleasure. In some way, shape, or form, to some extent, there could be some theme of Aquarius people being deprived of pleasure, because when you look at the Nista nakshatra, it's not a deity. Well, he is sort of a deity because he's one of the 8 Vasus reincarnated as a human. When we look at the life of Bhishma, he took a vow of celibacy. He was one of the 8 Vasus that had to be reborn as a human and had to live the longest life of a human out of the other Vasus, because he was like the ringleader of the Vasus who devised a plan to like play a trick on a guru and steal his cow or something. So he had to go and live the longest as a mortal, be reborn as a mortal, as his punishment. So I guess living life as a mortal, as a human, in comparison to being a god, that is like a downgrade. The pleasures or whatever is different. You taking a vow of celibacy, you're depriving yourself of sexual pleasure. And Shittabashesh, Varuna was, sort of betrayed and overthrown by Indra, and he became the new leader of the Devas. So there was that theme of like being knocked down from a high position of power and being thrown on a lower pecking scale in order. That's one thing you can see for the Nista. And from the Nista and Shittabashesh, you could start from a high point of power and be knocked down. You could be a theme of being deprived of like some type of pleasure or gratification in something in life, which could further be supported with Scorpio being in the 10th house of career for the Aquarius ascendant person. Now for Purva Bhadrapada, an intricate nakshatra, like I said, if you look at my nakshatra video of Purva Bhadrapada, I sort of view the deity like this fire-breathing dragon who has all this wealth, has attained all these things, but he's unsatisfied with it, and he's like burning and destroying all the wealth that he's acquired, because all the material things does not bring them pleasure. Just like how I told you that a male lion at a young age, from 2 to 3 years old, supposedly leaves their home and go in search of a new land to conquer on their own. I feel as though that could be the case for Purva Bhadrapada, but in a metaphorical sense. You know, you acquire some new land, you acquire some new territory, you accomplish and acquire something new in life, some goal or whatever, and then once you get it, you're unsatisfied and you go and look for another land, another goal to go and acquire and accomplish. But the things of this world and its existence doesn't bring you pleasure and satisfaction. So it sort of makes you an outcast to the world because the things that other people might be into, like to do, does not move you and bring you pleasure. And yeah, that's what I have to say in a sense. Let me look at my notes furthermore, but you just see that sense of being deprived of pleasure, or because the normal things that bring people, the normal things that might gratify and excite people don't excite you. It can make you an outcast, or that energy that is directed, that would be directed towards the things that people are into, is now instead directed towards something else, mastering something else. In the case of Denista is a nakshatra that, I know this is low hanging fruit, something that's real easy to say for Denisa. It can be associated with fighting and with warriors and stuff, not just music and rhythm, but fighting, because of the association with Bhishma. So it's like, shit, I ain't getting no pussy, I got a lot of built up anger and aggression. I can use that to go beat a motherfucker's ass. And Shataprashesh, a nakshatra that is associated with like 100 healers or 100 stars, and I get all into that in the Shataprashesh nakshatra video. I'm not gonna go repeat all of that. This is a nakshatra that's associated with healing and dealing with multitude and multiplicity of things. So it's like, shit, I'm not a goddamn leader, a king or whatever no more. Let me go heal some motherfuckers or whatever. I'm just being very surface level, but that nakshatra is way more to it than what I just said. But you get the metaphor and analogy that I'm getting. And as for the lion, it's like, well, shit. I don't know. I can't come up with one for Purva Bhadrapada. Purva Bhadrapada can lead you to many different avenues of extremes, because you just want to feel something that you haven't felt before, because this existence isn't giving you what you want. You're unsatisfied with this mundane, plain, surface level of existence. And that can just make you just do a whole lot of things. Like, for example, you could be someone who inflicts pain upon yourself, cut yourself. You might have a lot of pain tolerance, and you just want to feel something. It's like the movie American Psycho, starring Christian Bale. I forget the exact plot of the damn story, but the guy was like some rich, successful guy. He had money. He was rich. He had money, but he would like get with women and like kill them or whatever and shit. It's like, dude, you had no reason to do this shit, but he got off on doing these things. Even though he had all this money, he could live a nice lifestyle, but he just got off on just killing these people or killing these women. That could be. That's my best analogy of Purva Bhadrapada. You have the wealth, you have the material things, you can have all the sex you want, but that is not what turns you on. Murdering somebody, doing something extreme, is what turns you on. These could be like risk takers and daredevils, which is further highlighted. Yes, Aquarius in general could be risk takers and daredevils and like to do dangerous things, because this is a Rahu co-ruled sign. Saturn and Rahu rules and controls the sign, and the Rahu aspect is where you see that obsession, that over-the-topness, that addiction, that addictive nature of wanting more and wanting more but never being full, because Rahu is just the head and not the body. So you want to explore all the senses, but you're never satisfied no matter how much you do, no matter how much you explore. And yeah, it can just lead you to a whole lot of different paths, which is why Aquarius could be a weird or interesting sign, because it might not just specifically do one specific thing, but it could do maybe a multitude of things. It's a wider spectrum. It could do a multitude of things that might have these addictive qualities in natures, and they might be unsatisfied with the things that they do and that they explore. They might become very good and great at maybe these weird, unusual, taboo, occult, obscure activities that they indulge in. The things that they take interest in might also alienate them from other people, because other people won't understand them or think that they are weird and stuff. What else can I say about this? A theme of exile could be seen with this, as I took in my notes. I said a theme of exile could be prevalent due to Bhishma. He had to, he was a Vasu, a deity, an elemental god, and had to be reborn as a human. Varuna was tricked and betrayed by Indra and had to get kicked out of, the heaven that the Devas was with. Varuna is also known as a god of the ocean, but more so like a cosmic god, because Apis is a god, a water deity, and he is more like a cosmic sky, a cosmic ocean of a deity. So he was kicked out and exiled. Bhishma, it was not a deity no more, it was not a god no more, almost like on some Hercules shit. And in Purva Bhadrapada, you got the male lions who have to leave home at 2 to 3 years old and be their own man. So there's also a theme of exile with Aquarius, or isolation. And what else do I have to say? That theme of the male lion leaving home to go and conquer another land is something that can be really highlighted with this ascendant, especially with Capricorn being in the 12th house of foreign lands and isolation. And I told you in my Capricorn ascendant video that Capricorns is a sign that's associated with conquerors, in my opinion. And making sure that I'm not missing nothing. But yeah, that's about it. In a general sense, with Aquarius ascendant, you have the stereotypical Aquarius things. It's coming from the 11th house of large social network circles, organizations, and gains. So the Aquarius ascendant person might want to deal with a lot of things, a multitude of things, juggle a lot of things. And the Saturnian aspect of them, they could be disciplined and good at organizing things and being structured and planners. And then at the same time with Rahu, they could be gamblers and spontaneous and impulsive and all those good things and shit. So it causes a duality. It's one moment they're chills, they're disciplined, they're orderly and structured, they got a plan, and the next thing you know, they do something radical, they do something spontaneous, which is sort of why maybe stereotypically Aquarius could be associated with revolutionary things or revolutionaries in a general sense, because you have the rallying and gathering of things, and then you have the Rahu aspect of doing out of the box stuff and exciting, galvanizing things and aspects. But now I'm gonna move on through the damn houses, since I really hit the major bulk of what Aquarius is. They could just be that addictive, gambling, unsatisfied with the normal mundane things, isolated people, deal with themes of exile, and so many things I could say. But moving on, second house. The second house for Aquarius ascendant is Pisces. Second house deals with the immediate family that you come from. It also deals with your personal wealth and finances. Aquarius originally comes from the 12th house of isolation and loss and all those good things. Pisces is a sign where Mercury is debilitated, your logic and intelligence, and Venus is sexual and artistic and women and all that good stuff. This is the sign where Venus is exalted. We could say easily that, stereotypically low-hanging fruit, these people can deal with losses of wealth. Their logic, their intelligence is not at its best and fullest when it comes to managing their own finances and wealth. They could come from a family where gambling and taking risks is common. These people could maybe be like a starving artist, since Pisces is very artistic. They could want to take risks and bets on abstract, inventive, and artistic ventures that they might not see through to the end, that might not produce the results that they want. They can be artistic, abstract, imaginative risk takers and stuff. Great, brilliant ideas, but maybe, real illogical with how they go about executing them, and can waste and throw money trying to start things and not finish them and stuff, That could be a theme with Pisces in the second house with Aquarius ascendant, which supports all the things that I just said about the ascendant in general, of these people being risk takers and gamblers and competitive. Third house is Aries. And yes, the third house is Aries. Third house is associated with siblings, youngest siblings, and specifically for the most part, friends, neighbors, short distance travels, written communication, skills with hands, social media, because those are the things that you use to communicate with your hands. Aries originally rules the head and the body, the overall body and stuff. Aries represents self. Aries is the first zodiac sign that Aries is independent, impulsive, and alpha. So, all those things I just said, youngest siblings, friends, and siblings, they can be very impulsive and alpha. The way you communicate through social media in general could be rash and impulsive and a bit illogical. There could be a real desire for you to communicate and express yourself and get your point off your chest, since Mars is like assertiveness and action and weapons and penetrating, and like I said, Aries is impulsive. The Aquarius ascendant person might communicate and say things on social media or whatever. They might not make sense. They might just say things off the top of their fucking head, and it might not make logical sense. It might be like Kanye going on social media and going on some fucking rant, and you're like, what the fuck is he talking about and shit? It doesn't make sense. He's crazy. That could be like Aries in the third house for Aquarius ascendant. They can be very impulsive in their speech and communication, but they'll say it with their fucking chest and with confidence and with assertiveness. And like I said, and in my notes I put, this is even more further sort of seen because 7 places from the third house is the 9th house, and that would be Libra, where Saturn is exalted. Saturn is karma. Saturn deals with discipline, order, and structure, and it rules Aquarius and it rules Capricorn. So we can see when I get to the 9th house that there could be a karma or even more of a desire for the Aquarius ascendant person to want to develop an intimate connection or develop an intimate connection with people by professing a knowledge or belief. But yeah, in a general sense, yeah, that's what we see. And then we also see, when you look at this house, and we look at the 8th house of this ascendant, there could be some type of karma with surgery and dissecting things. I say this because the 3rd house is a house of surgery, because it skills with hands. 8th house is death, transformation, and maybe surgeries also, but 3rd house is definitely surgery. But 8th house is associated with death and inheritances, which you can inherit things through death. 8 places from the 8th house is the 3rd house. There's a connection between the 3rd and the 8th. 3rd house is the higher self of the 8th. So 3rd and 8th can show you like surgeries and death and all that good stuff. And with the Martian sign of Aries being in the 3rd and the mercurial sign of Virgo being in the 8th, we could just see that the Aquarius ascendant person can maybe be some type of healer, or they could be some type of surgeon, or they could just have some type of form of extracting things. You can see a lot of things. I can see a fighter, or on an extreme dark end. This is not me just generalizing Aquarius people, but on an extreme dark end, because you have to look at the whole chart, this could be like a fucking killer. Because if Mars is also associated with blood and weapons, and Aries is in the 3rd house, and then the 8th house is also death and surgeries, and Virgo is associated with, come from the house of diseases, and is also known as like a virgin or a healer or whatever, we can see that the Aquarius person is to be very good at dissecting things or extracting things, and it might be extracting blood. It could be through fighting, or it could be through a weapon. I don't really see or believe, I could be wrong, because I'm an amateur. I'm very amateurish. But the Aquarius ascendant person could maybe deal with themes of surgery, like a Scorpio ascendant, and or they would be the one doing the surgery, doing the extracting, which could be further seen and supported especially when you think about Shuddha Prashesh Nakshatra and Ravuna being associated with healing. You see that healing aspect. But moving on to the 4th house. The 4th house for this ascendant is Taurus. 4th house is associated with the mother figure, home, land, indoor dwellings, things that bring you that comfort, that nurturing, that security, like a car and like a home. Taurus is a sign that is it's of course sexual, but obsession and lust and desire. When you think about Agni and Kritika, he had sexual lust. When you think about Brahma and Rohini, he also had immoral sexual lust for his own creation, his own children. It was immoral because everything came from him, but because he had sexual desires, it would be immoral because if he had sex, it would be with his own offspring. So immoral desires. And then with Mrigadhira, Chandra, the moon deity, he is, like, metaphorically or supposedly said that all of the nakshatras are like his wives. And he's very sexual, very lustful and charming and all that good stuff. So Taurus is associated with lust or improper, immoral lust. There could be a desire for the Aquarius ascendant person to acquire a home, to have land. They could just have a strong lust and desire for acquiring, property, land, and a car, which further goes back to me talking about the male lion at young ages, seeking and desiring to get their own turf, fighting over turf, a lust and desire for turf, wanting to own things. There we go, because Agni had lust for sages' wives. Brahma lusted after one of his daughters. And Chandra, Soma, the moon spirit, lusted after Brihaspati, the wife of Jupiter's. He lusted after Jupiter's wife. So they all had immoral desires. You could desire to own a house or a car, and you could also desire to own these things own things that you shouldn't have, things that could belong to somebody else. That's what I see. And then depending on your chart, you might want to go after these things that you really want through negative means and methods. Like, man, I really want this car, I really want this house or whatever. Boom, you steal a car. You develop some type of fucking scheme, some real estate scheme on an extreme negative end. But of course, you probably have to have a bunch of malefics, But we just see that lust and maybe obsession for you to want to acquire these things, and then maybe after you get them, you want something else. Going back to that lustful, endless, bottomless pit nature with the ascendant. Then we look at the 5th house. And then, the moon is exalted there. So, you just really want those things. But anyway, the 5th house has the sign of Gemini. 5th house is associated with children. 5th house is associated with, learning. Because 5th from the 5th is the 9th. 9th is associated with teaching. 9th from the 9th is the 5th, which is children. And, you got to teach children. Children have to learn. They can't teach or whatever. Yes, 9th house is like the teacher. 5th house could be like the students. or the employees. But back to this with Gemini there. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the offspring of Moon. Mercury will have some moon-like traits. Moon goes to a new sign, a new nutshatra every day, and Mercury is the fastest moving planet, and it's never too far away from whatever sign that the sun is in. And then if you listen to the lore of how Mercury came to be the offspring from Moon and from the wife of Jupiter, you will see that there is an estranged relationship, a theme of estranged relationships with children, with maybe just mercurial signs in a general sense. If you maybe have Virgo or Gemini in the 5th house. So Taurus, which I probably didn't say this in my Taurus ascendant video, because you can't hit everything with every nakshatra video or hit everything with every ascendant video. You just hit the major things. But Taurus ascendant also has Virgo in the 5th house, and in Aquarius you have Gemini in the 5th house, and those are both two mercurial ruled signs. Mercury, the planet, whose name is Buddha, to our knowledge, doesn't have a relationship with his biological father Moon, and he doesn't have a relationship with Jupiter, his stepfather. He runs away from home. So with the signs that Mercury rule being placed in the 5th house, you can feel that dryness there, especially since Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It's near that heat. Mercury is hot. Mercury is dry. Mercury is a bit plain. So, I'm going to read my notes now. Due to the duplicity and multiplicity, trait of Gemini and just mercurial signs in a general sense, many children or many sexual encounters could be seen here. And then you have lions. They have sex every 20 to 30 minutes for 3 to 4 days apparently. So for 3 to 4 days, they're fucking every 20 to 30 minutes. And therefore you can see maybe a lot of sexual encounters with the lion theme and with Mercury going through signs very fastly in the house of children. Multiple children. Or maybe lots of sexual encounters. And then because of that theme of Mercury with the parents, we could maybe see that you might have like some type of odd connection or relationship with your children. Maybe some type of estranged. I'm not sure how this might unfold, but there's a chance that there could be some type of odd relation, estranged relation, or distant relation to some extent with you in your kids or a kid. That is my theory with Mercury signs being in the 5th house in your birth chart. If y'all watch this video, you have to tell me that yes, you're right, that does make sense. Other than that, this is just all speculation. 6th house. The 6th house is a house of debts, diseases, small pets and animals, day-to-day routine things, and enemies and servants and all that good stuff. The sign is Cancer, ruled by Moon, and originally comes in the 4th house of the mother and mother figure and indoor dwellings, things that bring you comfort and nurturance and security. I put that Mars here is debilitated and Jupiter here is exalted. So Mars is your warrior, your fighting and all that good stuff. And this sign is in the 6th house of enemies and debts and diseases. This is a sign, this is a house where you gotta fight. But this is also a sign sitting in a house where you have to fight. And also this is a sign where the planet of fighting is debilitated. So you could be weak when it comes to facing debts and health issues. And it needs to be seen that deities had to pay a huge karmic debt of being reborn because they was fucking with a sage or a guru. They stole his fucking cow. He like, you know what? I'm making you motherfuckers human. They're like, please change it. But fine. I'll make it so you just be a human for a short while. But the ringleader, he has to be the one that stays a human for the longest. Boom. the river Ganges goddess had sex with a guy, and she gave birth to 8 kids. She drowned 7 of them. The 8th one was Bhishma, and he lives because the king or the guy that she had sex with was like, hey, stop it. I can't watch you kill no more of the babies. So boom. Huge karmic debts are to be filled with Aquarius. They have had huge karmic debts, or a debt of some kind. It could be a financial debt, as we can see with Pisces in the 2nd house of your personal finances, or it could be some type of karmic debt that Aquarius will have to face. Plus, in Denista, Bhishma took a vow of celibacy. If you breaking this vow that you've made to the world or to the gods, and you break it, that's like making a promise to God. You praying, you do some ritual, you make a promise to God, and you break your words. That's like getting married and taking vows before God. Nowadays, it might not mean nothing, but when you sort of think about it, you're really into your faith, it's a big deal to break your vow, your promise before God, which is why, at least in Christianity, it's sort of frowned upon to get divorced, because you made that vow and promise, for better or worse, to be with the person. So the Aquarius person, with their Mars debilitated in Cancer in the 6th house of Prarabdha karma and actions that we must face and deal with in this lifetime, they could be weak when it comes to fighting against things that they owe. You know, there's just a huge theme with debts and karma and vows with Aquarius and with Cancer being in the 6th house. What else do I have to say? Looking at my notes. But on the flip side, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Jupiter is the teacher, the guru, the advisor. Cancer is a sign of nurturing. And Punyarvasu, the deity of it, is the mother goddess Aditi. And Pushya, it is Brihaspati, nurturing people with his knowledge and wisdom and guidance. And then in the Slasha, you have the Nagas, which is not so clear for me to give a straight answer off the top of my head, but they are associated with occult knowledge and all that good stuff, and they are associated with medicine. So those are some of the ways that Cancer, in its general sense, nurtures. And this is where Jupiter is exalted. It's like, okay, I'll nurture you with my intelligence, I'll nurture you with my healing prowess or whatever. And with Jupiter being exalted in the 6th house here, we could say that the Aquarius person, they might be weak to maybe health issues or dealing with financial debts and or karmic debts, but they could also be good or must face treating these issues. They might deal with and encounter a lot of people that have financial debts or some type of huge issues or karma and some type of debt or what issue in their life. And it could be a health issue. And you will be able to use your nurturing, your Cancerian or sort of imaginary exalted Jupiter traits here to nurture and remedy these issues. So the Aquarius person with Cancer in the 6th might have a karma of treating the debts and the diseases of the people in a general sense. Making sure. And then just further drilling down the point that this is a house where you must like deal with your own debts or diseases or nurture and heal the debts and diseases of others. You know, it goes back to Varuna and Shattabashash. And then you have I don't know, Purva Bhadrapada has a theme of death and endings. That's what my notes say. But yes, you can either want to nurture these qualities and take care of them when other people have them, or you can just be someone who will face these personally yourself. Now, the 7th house is your spouse, intimate one-on-one connections and relationships, the person you get married to and all that good stuff. Sign of Leo here. Leo's associated with inheritances because it's also associated with leaders and ancestors. And leaders and ancestors, they build things and leave things behind for the next generation, and we are standing on their shoulders and enjoying the fruits of their labor. So, and Sun rules it. Sun, the biggest graha in the solar system and all that good stuff. Karaka of the soul, significator of soul. I didn't take much notes because I couldn't really think of anything, but we could just see that either you yourself could desire to be like the foremost, the leader amongst the people in a general sense, or you could attract a spouse who could be like, a leader or surrounded and connected to people in powerful positions of power. I couldn't think much, if I'm being honest, for Leo in the 7th house in regards to your partner. They could just be, like I said, there could be some theme of inheriting things. Maybe your partner inherited something. Maybe your partner has subordinates and underlings underneath them, and they are like a leader, or they come from like a high position of power, or their family could be people, and their network circle could be people who are in powerful positions of power and are sort of well connected in some way, shape, or form. Those could be some of the simple themes for maybe Leo in the 7th house when it comes to your spouse and partner in general. Now, 8th house is Virgo. 8th house deals with sex, death, transformations, psychological trauma, inheriting things through death. Virgo comes from the 6th house of Prarabdha karma, death, debts, and diseases. Virgo is a mercurial sign, a planet that goes through many signs very quickly, the fastest moving planet. And it could be very chameleon-like. It could be very wishy-washy. Wherever Virgo is, will bring a little bit of that 6th house energy of infliction and diseases into it. You have a Dashana sign, a sign that comes from a house of obstacles being placed into another house of obstacles. Well, first of all, I'm just read my notes word for word, really. You could have a trouble connection with your in-laws, or there could be issues with the spouse's wealth. And then at the same time, spouse could be very smart with managing the wealth, because this is where Mercury is exalted, and you could be very good at uncovering secrets about the spouse and others and diving into occult things. I would say you probably must deal with and nitpick and critique with things regarding the 8th house, such as death, surgery, inheriting things through death or incidents. Now you see, Virgo comes from the 6th house of small pets and animals. And I should have said this when I first started this video. Aquarius also, these people will deal with large things. Why would I say large things? Because 6 from the 6th is the 11th house. Aquarius is the higher form of Virgo. If the 6th house is small pets and animals, the 11th house is large pets and animals. And if the 6th house is the intestines and dealing with, small things and nitpicky things, then Aquarius would deal with large things and stuff. So with the nitpicky sign of Virgo being in this house of death and surgery and the spouse's wealth and the spouse's your in-laws and dealing with sex and occult things, you could be very good at using your logic to learn and uncover taboo, secret, occult things. And you could be very good at, just very good at nitpicking and uncovering secrets of the spouse, the in-laws, or people in general. And your spouse could be very good because Mercury is exalted in this sign, they could be maybe very good with their own wealth. They could probably be very good with their own wealth. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head or from my notes, but those are some of the themes that you could see with Virgo being in the 8th house. And then Virgo's like a sign that wants to take care and better improve things with their own skills and intelligence. So, through taboo occult things and knowledge, and maybe exploring with near-death things, I don't know, you could want to use that knowledge that you've acquired through playing with fire to sort of help people to some extent, or from maybe your own perception of what it means to help. Moving on, the 9th house. The 9th house, large, long distance traveling, teachings of father and father figure, belief systems, faiths, and all that good stuff. Libra, where it's a Venus ruled sign, Saturn is exalted, Sun is debilitated, come from the house of the 7th with intimate one-on-one connections and relationships. I told you in Libra Ascendant that Libra people are really business people, business-minded, oriented, goal people. I would say with this, father or teachers could be business-minded, oriented people. The Saturn's exaltation here, you can have a heavy karma of professing knowledge of some kind to people. It's your karma, because the 9th house is the teachings, and the 7th house, in Libra, is the bartering, the connection, developing a connection with somebody, going back and forth with somebody, building something with somebody, and intimacy. You can say intimacy. There could be a karma with you developing an intimacy with an audience through your belief systems, through your knowledge. That is the heavy karma. Or you could be intimately tied and feel strongly about the teachings or the things that your father figure instill in you, the things that your teachers may instill in you, or about your own personal beliefs. You can feel very strongly and intimate about whatever that is. Your relationships or love partners could be found through your travels or through you living your life based upon whatever your teachings or beliefs are. Who knows? 10th house is the career, your profession. And it has a Scorpio here, which comes from the 8th house of, sex, death, transformation, and all that good stuff. This is the sign where Moon is debilitated. Scorpio is similar to Taurus in the sense of paranoia and obsession and lust. So my notes say, because of that, and this is where Moon's debilitated, there could be that paranoia and that obsession and lust over your career. And there could be a lot of mental stress and anguish over your career. Splits in career and a lot of roaming trying to figure out your career, especially since 2 out of 3 of the nakshatras in Scorpio are deer-ruled yoni animals, which is Anurata and Jyeshtha. The yoni animal of the deer could be tied to the lore of the golden deer when you learn about Lord Ram, who I talk about in Ponyer Vasu, and who I talk about in Migrashira. I told this a million times. I'm not going to say the whole thing, I'm just cut right to it. He chases a gold deer. The gold deer turns out to be a demon or a monster, and his wife is abducted. He has to go and rescue his wife. There's that theme of Scorpio of chasing after the wrong things. One thing looks good, you get that one thing, it's not what you thought it was, you go do something else. Like a jack of all trades, master of none. And there could be a whole lot of losses and setbacks due to you bouncing around and you not sticking to one thing or going after the one thing, thinking you want something and then you get it and it's not what you want. So that could cause a lot of mental stress, a lot of mental anguish. Indra was a very paranoid, insecure person who was fearful of losing his position of power due to him achieving his position of power through underhanded means and methods. He would try to, stop people and intervene people who would potentially maybe be loved more than him and maybe surpass him in some way, shape, or form. So there's that paranoia. The Vishaka side of Scorpio deals with two people or two things coming together to achieve a goal and then splitting and going their separate ways. Scorpio is a dual root sign associated with Mars and Ketu. Mars and Ketu are two splitting grahas. Mars is penetrative, and so is and Ketu is associated with the past and microscopic things. To see microscopic things, you gotta zoom in, or you gotta sort of cut and dissect things. It deals with the past, so to go in the past, you gotta dig up things and do research, like an archaeologist. There we go, like an archaeologist digging up things and fossils. So there's a splitting nature with their career of maybe them finding something and then splitting them apart from it. Them being unsatisfied with it, chasing after the next best thing, a job that could pay them $1 more, $2 more, very, very minimal differences, and then they get it and it wasn't worth it, and they split and do something else. There could be a search for them to acquire something they never had in the world that doesn't bring them pleasure, and this could lead them to having odd careers because a regular one wouldn't suit them. A regular mundane career probably would not suit the Aquarius ascendant person with Scorpio in the 10th house because, of that co-ruling effect of Ketu. Wherever there's Rahu and Ketu, or these signs of Aquarius and Scorpio, there could be just dysfunction and just an odd, turbulent house. And we see that with the careers of an Aquarius ascendant person. It's like that male lion looking for a land to hunt. They try to go to this land, they get their ass beat, they get ran off, they go, all right, cool, fuck it, I could have conquered this land, I'm going to go to another land. It's so metaphorical for so many things for the Aquarius ascendant. 11th house. The 11th house for Aquarius ascendant is Sagittarius. The 11th house is eldest siblings. The eldest sibling in your network circle. Your eldest siblings or network circles could be a source of knowledge or wisdom for you, or you'll have to travel far to find your network circle, because Sagittarius comes from the 9th house of long distance travel. Your network circle or eldest sibling could have a strong faith or belief or conviction about something. You could rally and gather people who share a similar faith and conviction or thought about something, Like you could rally and gather people who just, like a revolutionary, like a civil rights activist, a protester, people who are going on strike. You get a whole bunch of people together, they believe the same thing as you, and, they share and spread your knowledge and teachings like a Jehovah's Witness. They could just be those type of themes of you having that within your network circle or something. I didn't have much for the 11th house. Wrapping this up, the 12th house. The 12th house is isolation, foreign lands, hospitals, jails, abstract things, places near water maybe. And the sign of Capricorn is a sign associated with conquerors and rulers, asserting dominance. And then with Saturn being the ruler of this, you have that orderly discipline and structure. They want to conquer things in another country or place in another state or place of isolation. They establish dominance in self and places of isolation or away from the place that or another state, away from whatever is born in another country. They could work on or in isolation. They themselves can be focused and disciplined and structured like Saturn. Or they could want to bring discipline, structure, and organizations to places in faraway places like jails and hospitals and homeless shelters or recreational centers or whatever. They want to organize and structure and be disciplined something and build something, maybe establish their own providence somewhere, or in those type of isolated environments and places, they themselves can be disciplined, orderly, and structured. The exaltation of Mars in this sign could show that they could probably be very victorious and ambitious and driven in this endeavor. And the debilitation of Jupiter shows that instead of the normal Jupiterian knowledge of spreading wisdom or spiritual things, their knowledge and wisdom and intelligence could be more so directed towards materialistic things. How can I conquer this? How can I own this? How can I win this? You know, it won't be more so spiritual knowledge. Their knowledge and intelligence could be directed towards like the corporate world and material things that goes against the stereotypical nature of Jupiter. Their wisdom is used to establish their dominance in the 12th house. And or you could maybe say with this Capricorn in the 12th house, there could be that loss or directionless sense in their career. Their search of their career, of what they want to do in this world, could take them far and wide. It could take them to other states and other countries. They won't find moksha, rest, because this is a moksha house. It's a house of rest and sleep. You won't find that rest in your career, maybe doing a regular job that other people do. Or maybe you have a regular job, but you got to do your own thing behind closed doors and on the side. But that's, in a general sense, what I see for Aquarius ascendant people. I hope this gave you a lot of knowledge, insight, and clarity on what to expect if you have Aquarius ascendant in your chart, or if you just got planets in Aquarius. You just put whatever planet you got in Aquarius, whether it's your 7th lord, your 10th lord, and then boom. In a general sense, everything that I just said about Aquarius ascendant would apply to that. That's all y'all gotta do when it comes to my ascendant videos. If you want to know what does this planet do in this sign, look at my damn videos, or at least like the first 10 minutes of when I'm telling you about what is the core theme of the signs, and then you can make your own educated guess about what that planet might do when it's in that sign, in that house. Thank you for watching the video.